1 minute till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
I cannot believe it is officially a Friday. You have made it through the week. Do you feel accomplished? Working an entire week, getting done, being like, oh my gosh, it's the weekend.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Yeah, come on. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. We are here, back at it, ready to rock and roll for a whole another day, and we're going to try and do what we always do, cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag as we try to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Welcome into it, broadcasting live out of the heartland of America, here on the flagship station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas, all over the nation. Radio, TV, online social media, as we are streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, on the website at HoosierReason.com and others. So go ahead and leave comments, say hi, share it all around. Please do get on the social media and share it onto your own page. Leave a comment, just say hi, call me a jerk. I don't really care. Happens all the time. It's okay. But you know what? It's cool because it's a Friday.
That is the most metal thing I ever heard in my whole life.
And I am so excited about today, as yesterday we came out with a new Voice of Reason infomercial, so we may play that again. We got some positive response on that yesterday. But I want to jump into our guest because we have limited time today. We'll get to all the other stuff, the virus and all that stuff in a little bit. But it's a Friday, so let's have a little fun. I'm really excited to have this guest on. She is a board-certified Beverly Hills psychiatrist and award-winning and best-selling author. You can find her website at drcarol.com, as she is a psychiatrist who analyzes the impact of world events and tries to break it down to make the best out of you. And she is a psychiatrist when it comes to a lot of major things that go on in this nation. So I am super excited to have her on the program. It's Dr. Carol Lieberman on the line with us here. Doctor, how are you, my friend?
Fine, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate you coming on. There are so many things that we need to break down and try and analyze that's going on in the world right now, because I think this is a unique time for everybody. And as a psychiatrist, can you help us a little bit when it comes to this? First off, let's talk about the virus and everybody staying at home and the fear of spreading this virus and the mandatory face mask wearing and just the unique times. Are we getting through this all right? Are you starting to see people get a little agitated and be a little different from the world today?
everyone is affected. I have been calling it Corona crazy. Some people are a little more crazy than others, but I mean, have you noticed, for example, one of the symptoms of that? Have you noticed, just like we have road rage, have you noticed that people also are very on edge, and the slightest little thing can send them into a flare of temper, like a road rage person?
Or a massive protest nationwide that causes anarchy and destruction of cities?
Yes, or that. Yes. I mean, really, coronavirus is horrible, and we can talk about that. And yes, really, it wouldn't have been so horrible. I mean, yes, people die, but it's still really, from the beginning, it was only 1%.
Sure.
But what made it worse was the fact that we were all made to go into lockdown.
Right.
And lockdown or isolation itself, according to studies that came before coronavirus, lockdown itself causes people to have psychological and physical problems. Psychological problems like anxiety and depression, and physical problems like heart attacks or strokes, and weakening of your immune system. So it was really the lockdown that saw a rise in the number of calls to suicide hotlines. That was the turning point. You could really see it from the numbers of people who started calling. It wasn't so much about the virus. I mean, of course, we're having to face our own mortality with the virus, especially since if you turn on television, especially, earlier on, but even now, the message is and was and is, we're all going to die.
Sure.
So that was very distressing.
It was. I mean, it was concerned where everybody was okay with it at first, but now we've gone months into this, and as you mentioned, I mean, the infection rate is very low compared to the population, and the death rate among the infection rate is extremely low beyond that, and we've gotten to the point where we've harmed the economy very badly because we've shut everything down so badly. We have locked everybody up in their homes, which, as you mentioned, the higher rates, and I mean, even here locally in the state of Kansas and in the city of Wichita, we see a massive increase when it comes to domestic abuse, different cases that are being called into law enforcement, and different, I mean, I guess crimes aren't as bad when it comes to robberies, but the violence is bad at home. The suicide rates are bad at home. The depression is up right now is it because financial struggles? Is it because we're just social animals, so therefore we just need to be out and about? Is it because we rebel because we don't like change in our normal routine? Why do you think that we're seeing such a drastic change in behavior right now?
Well, I mean, a lot of it was when people were feeling really angry. The more we had to be locked down, the more people resented it and got fearful about the economy and what was the new normal going to be like and so on. But then, of course, before we could even really get into that, I mean, start going out and seeing what the new normal was, there was another new normal, and that was with the death of George Floyd and the protests that were hijacked into rioting and the looting. I mean, in a way, I think that the rioting and looting and the tearing down of statues is far more frightening and has far longer consequences than the coronavirus.
Sure. No, I completely agree. I think that the coronavirus was the fear at first, but now we're concerned about this. And again, everybody agreed that what happened to George Floyd in Minneapolis was wrong. Law enforcement stood up. Everybody said this is wrong. Yes, we need to do some reforms on police. We need to make sure that we hold law enforcement accountable. But it's been taken to a new level. Politically, I still think that certain radical groups have taken hold of the movement to abuse it and make it into a bad movement and do bad things amongst it as the excuse because of the movement. But now we see the tearing down of statues that has nothing to do with George Floyd or law enforcement today. And we see now this whole political correctness rise up again for a certain purpose. And we see the banning of any statue of anybody ever associated with anything bad that they had to say. But we're taking it a step further to where it's bleeding into our media as well when it comes to maybe TV shows or when it comes to movies, to where we're changing the name of certain things, or we're trying to remove. I mean, we saw a few years ago, we saw the banning of the book of, certain books that talked about racial inequalities back in the day. and to not learn from it, but just ban it and just remove it because it had it in the book. To me, that sounds crazy. But why are we going to this extreme?
Well, two reasons. One, I think there are radical groups who have taken over Black Lives Matter. I mean, actually, the founders of Black Lives Matter have ties to radical groups. But in addition to that, I mean, nobody wants to say that
Right.
because, you can't be against Black Lives Matter because then you're racist. But it's not about Black Lives Matter. I mean, nobody's saying that Black Lives do matter. I mean, that is true. And yes, the police brutality was wrong. But this is about destroying the country. It is, as you started to say, using this as sort of an excuse to just create anarchy. I mean, for example, in Seattle, the CHOP or Chaz, whatever you want to call it, of course, it's good to see that has kind of destroyed itself or is in the process of destroying itself because they wouldn't allow any police in to help. And meanwhile, people were shot and murdered and raped and all of that. That's what happens when you defund the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and shocker, 20% of the real estate wanted to go up and go up for sale in the week after they voted on that, which they still continue to pursue, which boggles the mind. Let's get into the media side of it. I mean, you're in Beverly Hills. You see a lot of this. You talk to a lot of Hollywood types, I guess. I mean, the California types. To Kill a Mockingbird was one of the books to where I read about it in school. I read it. I watched the movie. Now we're not allowed to because it talked about the segregation of black individuals and white individuals. Instead of learning from it and be like, wow, what they did back then was really dumb. Now we say, oh my gosh, it talks about it, so therefore we need to remove it. Is this one of those things to where if we don't learn from it, then eventually we're doomed to repeat it in another way, shape, or form down the road?
Well, yes. I mean, there is that quote, he who forgets history or words to this effect is doomed to repeat it.
Right.
And, it's Gone with the Wind, Paw Patrol, the cartoon Paw Patrol, they wanted to get rid of that because they had police dogs.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, this has taken, just gone to unbelievable. Ben Rice, what is that? You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And I mean, how is it that nobody complained about that before, and now all of a sudden all of these things are horrible? And the thing, I mean, and again, I don't want to sound, I'm certainly not racist, but, and I'm not concerned if it was just about redressing the wrongs, then that would be fine. But I'm sure you've seen some of these videos on the internet that are terrifying. There was one I just saw today where a bunch of people, young people, went into a restaurant it was a crowd of young people, and they went into a restaurant in Washington, D.C., and they were carrying signs and yelling about Black Lives Matter and so on. But they were first of all, they were going in there, and some of them weren't wearing masks, and they were going really up close and personal to these people sitting in the restaurant, where the restaurant had tried to seat them 6 feet apart. I mean, it's just this. And then there was another video I saw yesterday of a woman coming into a store and just grabbing things. She wasn't with a crowd. She wasn't one of the part of a crowd of looters. She just decided to come in there and help herself to some things.
Wow.
I mean, that is just, it's anarchy.
It is, and I think that's what they want is anarchy. And when you give them an inch, they take a mile sometimes. Not everybody, obviously, with the movements. And it's sad. First off, it's really sad that we need to disclaim, I'm not a racist. When we say Black Lives Matter is a radical group that wants to harm and do bad things, when we talk about anarchists that aren't trying to change justice for police officers and for individuals that police officers work with, but they try and burn down a building and steal a cash drawer out of a Target. To me, talking about looters like that is not a racist mentality in any way, shape, or form. They're just radical anarchists that want to burn and just kind of do their own thing because they don't really have any regard to the rule of law. And I think that the virus definitely instigated a lot of that by being cooped up for so long, and now they're kind of lashing out. But then taking it to this far, as you mentioned, I mean, Paw Patrol, trying to get rid of the cop puppy for a kid's cartoon because that's really bad. Canceling Cops after how many years that Cops was actually on the air, and now we want to ban it. How many actors in Hollywood played certain films in the 90s even, just 10, 15, 20 years ago, that nowadays is racially insensitive, and are they getting any repercussions for anything like this for movies that they've done 20 years ago when it was okay at that time?
Well, there's all this, all of these things on social media and in the news about celebrities who had blackface at one time or another. And the sad thing is that back in the day, like for a number of these situations, some of them were really quite a while ago, and it really wasn't meant to be a racist kind of thing. I mean, yes, you could say, well, maybe that was insensitive, but the point is they want to destroy these radical groups, and people donate to Black Lives Matter millions and millions of dollars, and they think that they're doing something to help destroy racism, to help fix racism.
Right.
But in fact, they're giving the money to these radical groups who are destroying America.
That want to do bad things. Hold that thought. I want to continue that when we come back. We're talking with Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Carol is the website. Make sure to check her out. She's got some great stuff on there as she breaks down some of the current events. Well, I want to continue that when we come back. Lots more to get to. It's a Friday here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, you are. Welcome into the Voice of Reason on a Friday. It's a free-for-all Friday, which means we're going to have some fun today talking about some of the current events. We'll get into our infomercial here in just a little bit. We got one more segment here with Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Carol is the website, drcarol.com, as she is a psychiatrist talking about some of the latest current events. Let's talk about breaking down the use of the face masks real quick. The forcefulness to force someone to wear a face mask. Should you wear one in public? A lot of people do on their own accord because that's what they choose to do to make themselves safe for themselves and their family, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. But to force someone to do that, again, as we get forced to stay at home, we get forced to shut down our business, we get forced to wear a face mask, is there going to be another, I guess, lashing out of individuals because this is a new norm that we just may not want to accept?
Well, of course, this increase in cases was so predictable because of all the protests and riots and so on, and the people, a lot of them not wearing masks, and a lot of them certainly not standing 6 feet apart.
Mm-hmm.
So this is so expected. When we were made to wear masks, and of course it depends where you live. Different cities and states had different rules, but wherever you were made to wear a mask, a lot of people wanted to rebel, and in fact, I was comparing that to George Orwell in 1984 and how, the draconian rules, like in California where I am, the governor and the mayor were having all of these draconian rules, and so, it was kind of like, what's going to be the next reason why we have to stay inside or do something else? But now that the coronavirus has increased, I think people need to decide for themselves still, but realize that actually it probably would be a good idea because of how quickly, and we don't know how far it's going to rise.
Sure.
And I think it's a totally different thing if you decide for yourself, or because you have, you want to protect people who you live with, especially if they're in a high-risk population. If you decide for yourself that that's what you want to do, then that's fine. And, I think probably these days it would be a better thing to do, at least until we know how long this rise is going to go and just how many people are going to. The idea of being told, being made to wear a mask that people rightly protested against.
Sure. Well, and I guess that's, I don't know, maybe the human nature in us or the conservative in me, that when I get told I have to do something without question, I need to do it, that rebellious part of me comes out and says, make me, I'm going to do it because I choose to do it because that's what I want to do to make myself healthy. Give me the information so I can educate myself in order to make the right decisions for me. Don't just make me blindly follow you and tell me what to do and then expect me to just do it, because that's the rebellious part of, I guess, our American identity that we have. We got just about a minute left, but I want to ask you that as we go through this and we see them push the envelope and trying to remove these TV shows, change the way things are, burn the books or ban the books or change old films, how far do you think this could go if we continue to allow it? They've already removed cops. They've already tried to get rid of a kid's cartoon, for crying out loud. How far could this potentially go?
There's no end, because I think it's really propagated by people, by radical groups who want to see Trump fall. So they just want to destroy the country as much as they can, from Paw Patrol to statues, until they try to, and then they'll blame Trump for all of this, like they blame him for coronavirus, and try to do whatever they can to get people to not vote for Trump.
It's wild. I don't know how you survive in California, because I know there's some good ones out there, but California seems like a crazy place, so God bless you for keeping up the fight.
Yes, it's hard.
I love
Of course,
it.
I come from New York, and that's no picnic there either these days.
That's very true. Doctor, thank you so much. We got to get you back on the show again here real soon. Excellent insight, and we'll definitely do this again. We got to take a bottom of the hour break. More coming up on The Voice of Reason as we wrap up the week on a Friday here on the show. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hoosier Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hoosier Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Of course you are. Where the heck else would you be? Welcome into the Voice of Reason as we do it on a Friday afternoon here. Great to have you along for the ride today. No matter where you may be, radio, TV, online, social media, HoosierReason.com as we have the live stream there. By the way, we did update the website as well with some new content. As get ready if you have not done so. We haven't really talked about it on the show since we started. If you have not done so yet, go to HoosierReason.com. You can subscribe and become a Hoosier-holic, where you'll get the monthly newsletter. It comes out the beginning of every month, which means it'll come out by next week. So if you have not done so yet, we've updated it to where when you go to the website, the first thing that pops up is a little pop-up deal is, hey, become a Hoosier-holic, and it'll take you there. You can type in your email. Boom. We don't spam you all the time, send you a bunch of crap. We don't do it. We just send you a monthly email. And then once in a while, if there's something super big and breaking, then we'll send you another email. But you won't get like more than 2 or 3 emails the entire month from us. But go on there, become a Hoosier-holic, and follow us all the time. Let us know what's going on. You can see the show. We got the live stream up there, the podcast, which the podcast is blowing up. I tell you, we're seeing numbers grow each and every day on there. So thank you for that, no matter where you may be listening. As we see Texas and Michigan and Pennsylvania, by the way, too. If you're listening out in Pennsylvania, download the show out there. We're seeing numbers boost up there for whatever reason. So cool. Awesome. I love you guys. I don't know where you found us with the online stream of the podcasting of the show now that we're starting to pop up in different markets. But thank you for that. We appreciate it very much. And yeah, let's keep on rolling as we hail out of the Wichita, Kansas area on the Big Talker KQAM as our flagship station. Listener on Podbean Live, let's break down the use of that radio voice. Andy is Michael Savage's son. That's awesome. I don't know. I appreciate it, but cool. I appreciate that very much. So let's get into some news. Thanks again to Dr. Carol Lieberman coming on the program. Dr. Carol is her website, drcarol.com, as she is a psychiatrist that breaks down the current events, and she lives in California. I was a little skeptical when she first came on because I was like, the topic that she wanted to talk about was the censoring of a lot of films. So I was like, okay, we could have some fun with that coming out of California and Beverly Hills and Hollywood. And then she came out as a staunch conservative, and, they're blaming Trump. I was surprised, especially coming out of California. And we do have listeners in California as well, so that's cool. I was not expecting that as much. So it was great to hear, and she's right. They try and blame everything. I mean, the economy crashing. The fact that he tried to jump on the virus too soon. Oh, that's not going to be a big deal. Why are you shutting down trade with China? And then, you're not handling it properly. You're not taking full force. I mean, we see Joe Biden coming out now. And Joe Biden saying that if he were president at this time, he would use his federal power and executive action, kind of like a Barack Obama. I use my cell phone and my pen, and I would make it mandatory to wear masks nationwide every time you go out in public. Now, he says that while he's wearing his mask, and he's had this black mask that he wears all the time, which is really weird. But then he talks, and he pulls it down under his chin. He leaves. It's weird. It's almost like a beard where he's trying to gain his color back, because obviously he's got white hair, but he pulls it down, and he has it hanging there while he talks, in the microphone because he's trying to talk to individuals, but he doesn't wear it while he's doing that, which I get. It's a pain in the butt to talk with a mask on, obviously. But why don't you just take it off and then put it back on? But instead, he won't take it off, so he pulls it all the way down and says that he would use an executive action to try and force everybody to wear a mask. Now, again, that goes into exactly what we did yesterday. If you've heard it already, then you get to hear it one more time because we got some fun response from it. If you haven't heard it, then we just made our infomercial for you to protect yourself from the crazies that force you to wear a mask. Have you ever needed to just run to the store? Maybe just go grab the essentials. In today's times, even going to the store and getting the most simplest shopping done can be a challenge.
Oh my God, you're not wearing a face mask? What are you trying to do? Kill everyone? You probably vote for Trump too, don't you?
Well, now you can avoid the nuance of harping tyrants and narcs with your very own face mask exempt card. Play the victim like every other liberal by showing you have a mental and or physical risk protected by the Americans with Disability Act.
I just tried to go buy some eggs yesterday, but was swarmed with haters threatening me because I didn't wear a mask. But after I showed them my face mask exempt card, they felt so guilty for attacking a protected person of vulnerability, they bought all of my groceries. Thank you, face mask exempt card.
Just show your card to any official, store manager, or annoying bystander and be protected with the super official Freedom to Breathe agency. Stop denying your right to freely breathe. Get your face mask exempt card today. All right, now full disclaimer again, I don't know if you've seen those cards floating around. There is an actual card that's floating around social media, and the media had to come out and actually say this is not a real thing. It's not legit. It's not. That's why it's funny. It's a joke. So therefore, we had to make our, as we do, the Voice of Reason infomercials, our cheesy satire infomercials. You can download that at HoosierReason.com. Not just the commercial itself, but you can actually download the card because I put it up there because I thought it was hilarious. So if you heard that yesterday, then you can still do it and remind you. If you didn't, then that's brand new to you. Let me know your thoughts on that, as we got some positive response yesterday from the infomercial. I made a mistake, though, because I think being Friday, and we try to keep it somewhat more lighthearted on Fridays than the rest of the week, as we've gotten into some really intense conversations over this week with some great guests. We try and keep it a little more lighthearted. I came out with that infomercial yesterday, and I should have waited and done it today for a Friday, which is why I had to play it again. Now, I don't know if we're going to do this every Friday and do an infomercial, but I think that on Fridays, when I do make one, we'll release it on a Friday so that way we can keep it lighthearted and fun, because that's what it's all about. Information and keeping it entertaining all at the same time. So here's the big question, though, is that, as she had mentioned, Dr. Lieberman had mentioned in the last segment, that people are becoming more cautious. We're seeing this massive increase in numbers of the virus all over the nation. I'm torn. I got to be honest, I'm kind of torn about this. I want to look at the numbers in a little bit different way, because right now we're doing two things wrong, I think. We're not looking at the hospitalizations as the number one priority. If we see an increase in hospitalizations, then we know that the virus is spreading more now, and that the people that shouldn't be getting it are getting it. So therefore they need the hospital, because they can't survive on their own and just sit at home and be sick for a week or so and then be good and get back at it. They actually need the hospital, which means we need to look at where it's going. And obviously the people that have passed away from it are the elderly that have prior ailments, or individuals that have had prior ailments. I don't know. I could be wrong. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have died across the nation from it, but I haven't personally heard of a single case where the media, you would think the media would hype it up, but I haven't heard of a case really where it was a healthy, like 20 or 30-year-old person with no prior ailments that ended up passing away from this. Again, it may have happened, but I haven't heard it. And you would think the media would be shoving that in our face and down our throat every chance they got to prove how dangerous this thing is, and why Donald Trump's not handling it properly, and why we should be wearing face masks, and so on and so forth. They'd be ramming it down our throats. But instead, all they do is talk about the numbers. Now, the numbers to me are faulty because, number one, we have more tests out there. We didn't have any tests in March when it first broke. We didn't know how to test it. We were trying to figure it out from the get-go. So we're like, oh, we think it's out there and it's really bad. That's why everybody freaked. That's why everybody got concerned. Because we don't know how bad this thing is. This thing could make us just keel over and die on the spot, or it could be like the flu. We have no idea. All we heard was that a virus was spreading and we're locking things down. And we got scared, and we went along with it. And then we see that Officials aren't wearing masks, which, okay, you know what? We don't need to wear it. A possibility, do it for our own accord if we choose to do so, but we're fine. Then you see the protests happen and people gathering in large quantities. I found it from the beginning how it was odd. You could still go to essential businesses and you can have 100 people in a grocery store grabbing food, but you couldn't go to another store where 20 people are in because it's a small mom and pop shop. That's where the red flag came to me, because if it was serious enough, they would say you can't even go and get food. This is a true lockdown. You can't go anywhere because it's going to be devastating. And people were concerned that could potentially happen. But the fact that we could still go to stores and we can have 100 people in a grocery store in essential, and we tried to define that fine line, try to split that hair of what's essential and what's not. Well, grocery stores are because we can get food. Bars aren't because you can't go out and eat. Okay. What about like other places? Well, you can go to the hardware store, but you can't go to the tattoo parlor. You can go to, they tried to really split these hairs on what was essential and what wasn't. And to me, that's where government failed big time, because they should have just said it's bad. Either everybody stay at home, or you know what? It's bad, but use your own prerogative on what you need and just kind of go do your thing and get home. And just recommend, don't force businesses to shut down. Just say, use common sense and reason. Create it right. Use reason to make your decision. So since then, I started getting less and less worried about the actual virus. Now we're seeing these numbers come up, and we said, wait a second, we didn't have any tests back then. We have tests now, so we're testing people. The state of Kansas wants to test 2% of the population every month. Is their goal by the end of the year. That's what their trend wants to be. Other states have their own goals. Nationwide, they want to be testing a certain percentage of the population. So as we test, obviously we're going to see the numbers go up because more people are getting tested. Derp. Makes sense, right? Not only that, but federally and most states are now considering the antibody test as a new confirmed case. Now, the antibody test means that you have antibodies in your body, means that it fought it off prior. You had it a month ago, 2 months ago, when it started back in March. But you're just getting tested now. You have the antibodies in your body to prove that you at least had it at some point, so they're considering a new case. So while we have a new fear by the media saying cases are going up, doesn't mean that they're active right now. It means that you could have had it 3 months ago, but it was then. So, but it's a new number. So, boop, another blip on the dot, on the data, and therefore people are concerned. Oh my gosh, look at that. Thousands more people have the virus. We're not looking at active cases, and we're not looking at hospitalizations in the media. So to me, it's faulty. So I'm getting less and less and less and less and less concerned about this actual virus. Use common sense. Don't sneeze on people, because that's just dumb. But outside of that, I'm having a hard time really getting worried about this thing. Your thoughts? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I far-fetched? I'm not just taking it seriously. I want you to let me know. Email me, HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Shoot me a message on the social media. We got one more segment. Lots more to get to here on The Voice of Reason for a Friday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Last segment of it as we wrap up a Friday. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason, radio, TV, online, social media, online at HoosierReason.com. Doesn't matter where you're at. Thank you for checking us out each and every day. We do appreciate that more than you know. This has been the goal for such a long time. Doing this show, getting it on the national platform, getting affiliate stations, which we have a lot in the works, and they're coming very quickly. We're on 4 stations now. We got 2 or 3 more coming in the next couple of weeks. We have a few more that are in the works as we speak as well. So we're growing right now. We have some great response on the podcast and the live streaming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it more than you know. It is so good. I have to say, it is so good to be back in Kansas. And I told you this story like the first day that we came back on. We've been going 2 weeks at this already on this show. That's awesome.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, right? And I told you this story, I think, the first day or so, but little voice of reason, when we left Ohio and we came back to Kansas, we crossed the Kansas line, And the little one, she just turned 6 a couple weeks ago. She goes, Mama, Dada, things look normal again. We're home. And I realized, all right, Kansas is where we're supposed to be. So we're back at it, back at the flagship here at KQAM in Wichita, Kansas, which is awesome. And we love Steckline Communications and KQAM and all the stations that are going to be going on as we start to talk about issues in their areas as well, which is the thing I'm excited about because we can talk about things locally in those areas where we're broadcasting and where people are downloading the podcast as well. So let's just cover all of it, man. That's what it's all about. I'm getting response, and it sounds like there's a lot of places that are starting to do the mandatory masks. Listener in Las Vegas, Nevada, starting to do mandatory masking. Potential up in Kansas City area doing masks. We saw the story of Washington State not only making it mandatory, but potentially making it a misdemeanor where you could spend 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. If you do it a second time, it's a year in jail and up to $5,000 in fines. Now, I thought we were removing people from prison because we didn't want them in contained areas to spread the virus. I don't know. But and I guess we're going to put them in jail if you don't wear a mask because you're spreading the virus out in the public. So my question to you is, would you follow it? If it's mandatory, would you follow it? Or, I don't know, to me, again, it's the rebel inside of me, the conservative that says, to heck with the establishment. Now we're rule followers. We follow the rule of law. And that's where the progressives are going to be. Well, you guys follow the rule of law, and you only just disagree and just don't abide by the ones you don't like. You're hypocrites. Now, we follow by the Constitution. At least in my opinion. We follow by the Constitution. And when the Constitution says that you shouldn't harm anybody's life, liberty, or private property, then we follow those rules. Life, liberty, and property are preserved. Those are protected by the government, and therefore they should be protected. So if you're looting, then yes, you know what? That is a violation of private property. That's a violation of the code of conduct in the nation, and therefore that should be punishable. That's not just being a rebel and doing what you want to do. If you're being forced to wear a mask, that is not a protection of life, liberty, or private property. They can try and claim it's a protection of life, but at the same time, it kind of goes into the seatbelt law. Should you wear one? Sure, you should. You should make it on your own prerogative. Use common sense. Should they be forcing you to do it and make it into a financial obligation to if you don't and punish you financially? No, they should not. That's kind of the libertarian flavor coming out. I don't think that should be done in that way. Making mandatory masks, especially in this time. Yes, the numbers are up. Yes, the numbers are up. At the same time, they're up because more testing and antibody testing from prior infections. Are hospitalizations up? If hospitalizations are up from healthy individuals, then we can start getting our concern back on. Until then, I want to see who's getting. If there's an outbreak at a long-term care facility for elderly individuals, then you know what? That's sad and it's horrible, and let's see what we can do to fix that. But that doesn't mean we all need to be wearing masks because those people, again, like common sense, you try and stay away when you have the sniffles anyways. If you go and visit your great-grandmother who's 100 years old in a long-term care facility, you're not going to go visit them if you have the flu. Let's use that same mentality. Let's not sneeze on people. I've seen this as the positive outlook. The positive opportunity to teach people to use common sense again. Wash your hands when you're done in the restroom. Not to just openly sneeze in the middle of some public place where people are walking. Use your elbow. Do what you have to do. Those are the common sense things that we've kind of forgotten that I think maybe this has reminded us of. But to make the masks mandatory, I think at this point, in my opinion, are going from the concern of the actual virus to let's just keep this thing drug out as long as possible because we see higher numbers when we know the higher numbers are false. That's my opinion. A lot of people may disagree with it. That's all right. We see a lot of good points going on when it comes to social media, so keep it up. Share it all over the place. Like it. Go to HoosierReason.com for the podcast. Also, any of your favorite podcasting sites, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, doesn't really matter. Stitcher, we're all over the place. Make sure to check it out as well. We appreciate it. Until then, we're back at it on Monday. We have a whole laundry list of guests to check out. Until then, be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is The Voice of Reason. Everybody have a great weekend. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.